part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another Reghi and Roda podcast powered by MGM Northfield Park right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. And a shout out to our wonderful producer, Ty Court, to make sure all of you out there in the podcatosphere get to hear the R&R podcast on a regular basis. And Michael Reghi, what a difference a week makes, right? Or less than a week for that matter. It was a short week. Browns stunk the joint out in Pittsburgh, lost to the offenseless Steelers. But then they bounce back, and Michael, this may be one of the best all-around games, offense, defense, special teams, that a Cleveland Browns team has played in a while as they demolished the Tennessee Titans 27-3 today at Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Yeah, it really was, Ken. I mean, no question about it. You said it perfectly well. This was a performance that had every facet of the football team playing very strong football, and for them to be able to do what they did, especially defensively, to me, Kenny, I think that that's going to bode very, very well for the future. Now, I don't know if you can have those type of performances every week for 14 more football games, but you know how I feel about Jim Schwartz, right? Yeah. I mean, I think there's something to this, that Schwartz demands that at least guys are locked in and are going to practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when they're actually out on the field going through game type things the way he wants them to play. So a lot of this to me defensively is about Jim Schwartz and how he, as I said, demands and not only that, but X's and O's for his defensive unit. But I think you've got to feel good too, Kenny, about the performance from Deshaun Watson. Maybe his best in the 9 football games now he's played as a starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And again, you just like to think maybe, Ken, that this is one that hopefully he can build on because in years past during his prior stint to being here with the Cleveland Browns, I mean, we saw some very, very strong quarterbacking performances from Deshaun Watson. Let's hope that maybe this one gets him on that track and to start putting those type of performances together. Stack them up, right? Stack them up and give the Browns an opportunity offensively to have their defense take control of a football game, get a double-digit lead. And maybe this, Ken, is going to be the way of for things to go well for the Browns. And maybe today is the day that starts all that.
Reg, I wrote down these 2 words for Deshaun Watson: efficient and effective today. And I thought he was both, completing 27 of 33 passes for 289, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah, he had a couple of bonehead plays that really didn't hurt the Browns, but for the most part, his best game, I agree with you 100%, his best game as a Cleveland Brown by far, now 5-4 as a starter for the Browns. I loved his escapability today. When the pocket did break down, he was able to buy some time, either throw the ball away or make a play. He still has that ability to run. He threw some good balls today, and I thought Kevin Stefanski called an excellent game based on the defense they were going with, right? It comes out with a little razzle-dazzle. Then they start taking the underneath stuff. Next thing you know, they're going over the top, and they didn't complete them all, but they took some shots to stretch the defense, Reg, and loosen it up a little bit. So for Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson, by far their best game together as a duo.
Well, absolutely. There's no question about that. And again, we want to be able to see more of that over and over again. And yeah, I thought, I thought Watson was the type of quarterback today, Ken, who we didn't see this in Pittsburgh last week. Again, the type of quarterback who was not going to allow the opposing defense an opportunity to come up with something that could get their football team moving because of a play where he kind of went mind dead between the ears. Right. That happened in Pittsburgh. We didn't see that today. So, again, you got to Jerome Ford. That's hopefully a performance that lets him know that he can be the type of running back. Look, you're not going to be right. You're not going to be. Um,
Nick Chubb.
You're not going to be Nick Chubb. No, that's not going to happen. But and again, I know the numbers weren't tremendously great for him today, but they're going to have to do it. And of course, they got Kareem Hunt an opportunity today as well. So let's hope all of this is something that is a beginning of. Because if Schwartz and the defense can continue to excel the way they did today, and what you don't want, Ken, in this situation now without Chubb is right where the Browns they think they gotta every week they go out there have to put 35 up to win, right? And where does that then really begin from? Jim Schwartz and his defensive unit. And I really like watching them and the way they're flying around right now. And I do think that Jim Schwartz has a lot to do with that as the mastermind of what they're doing on that side of the ball.
And let's give some love to Myles Garrett today, Michael Reghi. He was a
Wow.
one-man wrecking crew, maybe his best game as a Cleveland Brown. 3.5 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss in the backfield on a regular basis, stopping the running game as well as getting after it in the pass game. And I thought he helped that defense dominate. They held the Tennessee Titans to 94 total yards, 3 points, and 5 sacks as a team. Jim Schwartz, yeah, he orchestrates it, but you need your players to go out and execute it. And I thought Myles Garrett was the ringleader there today.
Yeah, well, and how often do we talk about that? I mean, in the National Football League, I mean, even for the worst offenses to not be able to put up 100 yards total low and to be rendered almost entirely ineffective. Again, I'm just hoping, Kenny, that this can be a jumping off point for what the Browns want to do. And maybe we'll be looking back to week 3 here as we, and we're doing our shows in around Thanksgiving and into December as now the numbers, win-loss really start to matter when it comes to playoff time. And hopefully we're being able to say, yeah, remember that Sunday afternoon at home when they just absolutely took everything away from the Tennessee Titans? Well, hopefully that's the one that the Browns are able to use as the jumping off point.
Reg, the win today and the Colts doing the Browns a favor, beating the Ravens in overtime today. It sets up 2-1 Ravens, 2-1 Cleveland in Cleveland next Sunday at 1:00. And we'll get to that a little later. So as bad as it looked on Monday night and people were ready to jump off the I-480 bridge, like I said, boy, what a difference 6 days makes. And all of a sudden things are back on track and this defense is leading the way. And Michael, I know it's early and this is probably an overreaction, but this defense, okay, the linebackers, that's the area I was concerned with, right? I thought the linebacker, JOK, Anthony Walker, played very well today, and the secondary has been doing its job even without Greg Newsome. Could this defense be one where the offense doesn't necessarily have to score 28 points a game to win if they get to 21 or 24 with a defense? Could it be like that Ravens defense that, paved the way to a Super Bowl championship back in the day?
Hope so. I mean, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I still believe that, and I know, everybody talks about the high-flying offensive exploits in the National Football League, but Kenny, if you can, and it's not going to be every Sunday or every game played like it was today, because, Ryan Tannehill, what did he throw for 100 yards? Just barely hit 100 yards. Derrick Henry, I believe the last time, 20 yards. Is that what he had rushing in 11 carries? So, I don't know if you're going to do that each and every week against some of these very efficient offenses in the NFL. But, boy, it just feels good because, when you dominate the game defensively, again, that makes everything just smooth and run effectively so much easier. And that's exactly what the Browns did today. And again, I think Jim Schwartz is the right man. And for me, Ken, more than about the numbers like that were phenomenal defensively today. Just make that mindset of we're a football team that can win games with our defense and the way we approach that side of the ball. And I believe that, we've said this before, Kenny, all offseason. I believe Jim Schwartz is the right guy as a defensive coordinator that can make this happen. I mean, I love what he does on that side of the football. And this team that unit seems to respond to him too. It early on, I know, but it seems like it's a pretty good fit with the Browns' defensive room and Jim Schwartz.
How about this, Reg? We still have our questions about Kevin Stefanski. I thought this was one of his better games. I loved the short controlled passing game. Razzle-dazzle, took some deep shots. I loved his game plan today and the execution of it. But you mentioned Jim Schwartz, arguably one of the better defensive coordinators in the National Football League, and Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches in the National Football League. So Kevin Stefanski's got some help around him, and we'll see if that pays dividends here over a 17-game regular season schedule. But I like the guys that he's put around him, and maybe that takes some of the pressure off of him. He doesn't have to worry at all about that kind of stuff, and he can just be the OC when the team's on offense, and then the head coach during the other times.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. And I think it's one of the things that are often overlooked in the National Football League, Kenny. I know in the college game, we look at that a lot with the top head coaches and some of the members of their staffs, their coordinators. But
right.
In the National Football League, I think, we think of it more about as a players' league, and players are going to decide. Well, I think the Browns have responded and reacted very, very well to Jim Schwartz. He's kind of a little bit of an old school, tough guy now. He's not going to – you miss assignments and you aren't, doing the things that you're supposed to do, then he's going to put your butt on the bench. That's what he is. That's what he's been. And so I like that with the Browns. And, again, they seem to be responding at least through 3 football games. And today was Ryan Tannehill just had nothing. And you could see in a lot of the looks during the telecast that there's a lot of head shaking going on offensively with Mike Vrabel and Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry and their offensive football team.
Reg, great bounce back win for them today. They needed this. Maybe there was some emotion there, right? Let's win it for Nick Chubb, who's out for the year, but supposedly the knee injury not as bad as once thought with a bunch of torn ligaments. So we'll wait and see for the official doctor report on that, but that's somewhat encouraging. But, there was that brotherhood, that bond that, all right, let's go get this one for Nick Chubb. My question to you is, do you think they can replicate this? Can they do that? Can they have that mindset without it having to be win one for Chubb, whatever that focusness was today, Jim Thome term? Can they duplicate that for every game this season, or at least most of the games?
Well, I want to hope the mindset of how they got to the point and the positioning to be able to accomplish that. Now, is Deshaun Watson going to go 27 of 33 for 289 yards and a couple of touchdowns every week? That might be a little bit pie in the sky. Yeah. Right. But, again, just if Watson can play clean, effective football, and with him, I think today is a perfect example. That's kind of like, and I know that, we're only talking about a couple of years ago, but that was, if you go back and look at some of the performances of Deshaun Watson when he was a Houston Texan, these are the kind of games that he would string together. And so while I think the Browns aren't trying to make too much of a large thing about it, Kenny, when you look at it, and numbers can sometimes fool us a little bit.
Right.
You and I talk about, but that's a damn efficient day today. He throws the football 33 times, only misconnects on 6 of them, very close to 300 yards with a couple of touchdowns. Kenny, I think and I don't think it's got to be that premium either. If he throws for 225, 250, 260, but again, you got to put the football up 50 times to do that. I like it, and I think maybe again we're going to look back at this game today as the one that kind of got Deshaun Watson feeling real good about himself and what he has with him in this Browns offense. It could be, and we'll see if they're able to take off and use this as the moment that it all began to take place.
If you're a Browns fan, you hope this is that game. But Reg, for whatever reason, and I was listening to the pregame show when I was driving to the Stark County Browns backers bar, Jerseys in Canton, just down from the Hall of Fame. And they said, for whatever reason, Deshaun Watson always plays well against the Tennessee Titans. Well, right on cue today. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping it's just not that, familiarity and level of confidence because of who they're playing. The next two games, I think we'll get a better feel for where he is at, right? Ravens at home, bye week. San Francisco then comes a call. And so two playoff caliber teams. One, a lot of people are picking to win the Super Bowl in the San Francisco 49ers. So I thought this was important for two reasons. Number one, get the bad taste out of your mouth from Monday night bounce back win. And number two, have some confidence going into your third division game in the first four contests.
100%. No question about it. I mean, these two, I think, are very important. And Kenny, I'll say right now, I don't expect the Browns to be 2-0. I really don't. Now, if they are, phenomenal. I mean, that's really strong. But I mean, San Francisco now, and we know what the division AFC North rivalry is with the Baltimore Ravens. But these are two quality football teams. A lot of people feel San Francisco is going to be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. A lot of football left to be played, but they're certainly capable of that. And the way that they play the game under Kyle Shanahan. So to me, Ken, honestly, I need to see the Browns got to win one of these two football games for all the reasons we just said, because you're looking at two of the better teams. I don't know. I'm sure, obviously, two of the top 10 teams in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
And some would say, who knows? Maybe they're two of the top 5 or 6 teams in the NFL. So you got to win one. It would be absolutely tremendous if the Browns could win 2 and be sitting at 4-1. But Ken, again, if play good football, just play complimentary football like he did today. Let's hope this was a real jumping off point for Deshaun Watson and the offense. We're going to have to keep an eye on the run game, no question about that. But maybe with some of the things that Deshaun Watson can do with his legs, and some of the things that you hope that the San Franciscos and the Baltimores got to at least be respectful of, shall we say, defensively. Maybe it's an opportunity for the Browns and Watson to. But I think it started today. Really use this as your jumping off board, right? Use this today and see if you can stack these kind of offensive performances up. Because Kenny, I don't worry about the other side of the ball. We just said that I'm cool with what's going on the other side of the ball, and I feel that they will be representative of. I think they got now they can be a top 10 defense in the NFL. They really can. And now offensively, stack these type of performances up from today, and we could be having something fun to talk about, Ken, as we roll into October, November, December.
Another guy I want to give some love to, Reg. Nice job, you effing kicker. Nice job. Well, it was a nice job by Dustin Hopkins again today. Outstanding. 3 for 3 on extra points, right down the middle. 2 for 2 on field goals, including his second 50-plus yard field goal. And what was the knock on him when they acquired him? Well, he's good from 45 yards and in, but beyond that, he's 2 for 2 on 50-yarders this year, and now he's 4 for 5 on 40-plus yarders. So I'll take that over Cade York any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, hell of a move to be able to pick up a field goal kicker of the NFL quality of Dustin Hopkins. And yeah, you're right. I hope it again can continue, but the ones 40 to 50, right, Ken? I mean, those are the ones that you want a guy to be. If he can be up 85 to 90%, right, from 45 to 50 yards, I think everything will be just fine with the Browns' ability to put points on the board offensively.
Yeah, so nice to see his kickoffs too. Was worried about that. Would they give up field position for a more accurate field goal kicker, a weaker leg? And no, that hasn't been a factor either. And Bohorquez does a nice job punting the football. So one miss so far from him. Yeah, the return game. But Reg, how many teams really have a return game in the NFL?
Yeah, you probably count them on one hand.
Right.
That really, it's a part of the game, Ken. I think that's kind of lost a lot of its luster and gone away. Whether it's the kickoff returns, there just aren't many of them. Right, because from where the football is being kicked off now, every guy can just drive it through the end zone, and you don't even have to worry about it. And for the Browns, again, it's something that it's a plus. Donovan Peoples-Jones as the punt returner. He had a good year doing it last year, and so we'll see if hopefully, if you can get one TD on a punt return, I think that that's solid these days. And as I said, kickoff returning, Ken, I don't even know if it's any meaningful anymore. How do you feel about it?
Here's what I would like to see done. All right. They'd made the change in Major League Baseball. Okay. Where if you want to intentionally walk a guy, you just put four fingers up and he goes to first base. If I'm the receiving team, I would like the option of just raising my hand, putting four fingers up or whatever the signal would be. Give me the ball on the 25-yard line. We don't even have to kick off. Now, obviously, if a team wants to attempt an onside kick or what, okay, but I just don't. If I'm going to fair catch it, I would rather have the ball at the 25-yard line every time, as opposed to maybe getting one return for a touchdown or two good returns all year. But then I also have to deal with all the penalties on kickoff returns that make me start back inside my 15 or 10-yard line. So I would just like a way of saying, hey, intentional walk, put me on the 25-yard line.
Well, yeah. And again, starting at the 25. You know what? If you got a quarterback and an offense that can effectively put drives together, then to me that would be the better way to go. Yes. It's really, as I said, it's really lost its luster in the NFL game, and I would rather just let my offense, as you just suggested, start the drive. Let's start the drive, and let's take away all the other. Because usually, what happens more than real strong kickoff returns? Maybe getting hit, coughing the ball up, fumbling it, and turning it over. I think probably statistically happens more often than, say, a 50-yard return that enhances your field position, right?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to handle this. You obviously have to kick it off, but just put the hand up for a fair catch and get it at the 25 and move forward from there. One other thing, Reg, before we get a break in here that I wanted to touch on from today's game and everything. Stefanski twice now in the home games, a 24-3 win, a 27-3 win. That's 51-6, right? He has applauded the fans, the crowd noise, saying how much of a factor that has been. Is that just lip service, or do you think these diehard Browns fans are impacting games now because they feel this year there's a legitimate chance for them to do some damage?
I think it can be a slight assistance here and there.
Okay.
I don't think it's something that, you hang your hat on and say, hey, bad job by you fans today. You didn't make enough noise and didn't rattle the opposition as much as we needed you to. Look, that's still all about you. You got to be able to have strong special team units in the National Football League. So use a term. Yeah, I think it's a little bit more lip service than anything else. But Kevin Stefanski knows. He knows that this Browns fan base, you keep them on your good side, and it's going to serve you better, meaning you, the head football coach, rather than having them questioning you constantly for how you're coaching the football team. So, I noticed that he does that a lot and, at home games. And so fine, if he feels that that's something that is going to be an edge for the Browns, positive edge, okay, keep it rolling.
All right, Reg, let's get a break in right now. When we come back on the R&R podcast, we'll talk a little bit more about the division, the way it's shaping up right now. We'll take a look at the Miami Dolphins putting 70 on Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos today. And we'll also dive into that heck of a football game on Saturday night between the Buckeyes and the Crying Irish of Notre Dame. And yeah, all those Irish fans are crying today, and I'm loving every god darn minute of it. So we'll dive into that when we come back on the Reghi and Roda podcast, powered by MGM Northfield Park.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tybus, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Hey, the Roadman Kenny Roda here for the Reghi and Roda podcast, and we are proud, we are happy, we are honored to have Northfield Park as our title sponsor, because Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday evening with a 6 p.m. post time. Wager and win daily on top thoroughbreds and harness tracks from around the world, with action starting right around noon. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park, and tell them Reghi and Roda sent you.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome back to the R&R podcast. We are brought to you by Northfield Park, MGM Northfield Park, to be more specific. They do a great job. You're looking for a great time, concert. You want to go see the Trotters. You want to go wager a little bit. Head on out to MGM Northfield Park and have a great time. So happy they're on board with us again here on the R&R podcast. And a shout out to our outstanding producer, Ty Courts, who gets this all out to you in the podcastosphere. So Michael Reghi, the AFC North. Here, and I know it's only 3 games in, but the Browns and Ravens are 2-1. The Steelers are playing as we speak against the Raiders in Vegas. Monday night, you've got the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Rams. Bengals are 0-2. Pittsburgh's 1-1. They'll be either 2-1 or 1-2, so they could be tied for first as well. But as I look at this, Michael, on paper, I thought the Browns could win this division. And when I see what I'm seeing from that defense, and what Jim Schwartz, the attitude he has brought to this team. And I wrote this down. Recipe for success. Just like the old Ravens team that won a Super Bowl. Don't turn the ball over on offense. Have Watson make a few big plays here and there and rely on your dominating and suffocating defense. Reg, I really believe after seeing 3 weeks of football and with Burrow and that calf injury possibly lingering, the Steelers' inept offense, this is going to be a 2-team race between the Ravens and the Browns. And I like the Browns' chances if they don't lose any other key players to injury and they came away today unscathed.
You would think they'd be sitting in a strong position to do just that. Win the AFC North. Don't worry about, getting in playoff wise just go win the division. And Kenny, what did we say? I really think 11-6 will win this division.
Yeah.
I do. And so here they are. They would need to just 9-5 the rest of the way, right? But the bottom line is establish yourself as like they did today, whereas teams got to really dial it up. If they're gonna come into Cleveland Browns Stadium and beat you, then they're gonna have to bring their A game to do that. And I do believe defensively the Browns are capable of being a division winner. And certainly not having Nick Chubb is something that is going to continue to have to be dealt with. But I don't see any reason why, do you, that the Browns shouldn't still feel like this is our division to win, meaning them as the way they approach it. Again, go out each week and go ahead and play the type of complimentary football that they did today, and especially defensively. And I think they got a damn good shot to win this division.
I made a little note here, Reg, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Dallas lost today after looking like world beaters last week, right? We mentioned Cincy with the injury to his leg, jackpot Joey. The Chargers are up and down. They look good one week, then look terrible. Okay. Baltimore, Detroit is coming on nice. But I wrote down San Fran, Philly, KC, Buffalo, and the surprising Miami Dolphins, who are 3-0, as the top 5 teams in the NFL right now, as Miami won 70-20 today. They scored 10 touchdowns, 5 passing, 5 running against the Denver Broncos, and they're now 3-0 with Tua Tagovailoa, leading the way there. My only concern with Miami, and I put them on that, side of my cheat sheet here, elite NFL teams, is can Tua stay healthy for all 17 games? That's my concern with Miami, and that's why I think really it's San Fran, Philly in the NFC, and KC and Buffalo in the AFC. Your thoughts on elite teams, or just the ones that I've named right there?
Yeah, and I understand your reasoning about the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa, because he hasn't been able to do that. He has gotten injured in seasons past that have certainly put their season behind the 8 ball, so to speak. But they're a quality football team. There's no question about that. So you say you got them in Kansas City, in the AFC, and you said Philly and San Fran in the NFC. Did you have a 5th in there?
I have one. Philly, San Fran, 2 in the NFC, KC, Buffalo, and then Miami is that's right. Added team in there for my top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah, I just and I mean he's a quality quarterback, but boy, there are times in big football games where Josh Allen just kind of comes up wanting, and doesn't get it done for Buffalo. But no, I agree with you. Those 5 football teams, I think right now you'd say if one of them was a Super Bowl champion come early February of next year, would you be surprised? No. 5 quality football teams. And again, can the Browns kind of find their way into that conversation as time goes on here? So, I don't think there's any football team in this league, Ken. And then for me, that includes, Kansas City. That is, absolutely, without some spots on their teams that they're unbeatable. That you think they're going to just run through and roll everybody. I don't see that way. I really like the San Francisco 49ers team. They're very good on both sides of the ball. So, again, this is why, as we take that back to the Browns, there's no reason why the Browns at this point, Ken, at 2-1, I think shouldn't we, the Browns, you want to win this division, and I would hope 11-6 is doable for them. I mean, 9-5 the rest of the way. If you're a legitimate championship level football team, then, you should be able to go 9-5 in 14 games, right?
You would hope, right? With
what
we're looking at,
if you consider yourself of championship caliber, if you can't do, it's going to be tough to go 9-5. Well, then you can't consider yourself championship caliber. It's just that simple. It's either one or the other.
All right, I just pulled up on one of my betting apps, Reg. I wanted to see what the futures odds were on those 5 teams that I just listed. Okay, so here's the way they see it. The favorite is San Fran at plus 550. So bet 10 and you get 65 back, including the 10 you put down. All right.
Yep.
Plus 600 Kansas City. So bet 10, you win, you get 70 back. Plus 650, that's Philly. You bet 10, get 75 back. And then Buffalo is plus 1,000, meaning you put 10 down, you get 110 back. And Miami plus 900, meaning you put 10 down, you get $100 back. Reg, I got $50, okay, and I'm hedging my bet on this one, right? If I throw $10 on each one of those 5 teams, I think one of those 5 is going to win it. I'm going to get my shortest or smallest amount of winning, factoring the 50 I spent, would be $15 on San Fran. But yes. I think those are the teams. If you have some extra cash and you're looking to maybe cash in on a futures pick right now, because those odds will go up or down depending on how those teams do, right?
Yes,
I think you can throw $20 down if you have $100 to spare for gambling. Put $20 down on each one of those teams, and I think you'll come out okay when the Super Bowl is over and done with in Vegas this year.
Yeah, well, I think you're doing something like that. I'm always going to lean to quarterback and head coach, Kenny. So that combination takes me to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, right?
Yeah.
So I still think I know. I mean, they've lost a football game. They played well today, I believe.
They crushed
got
them.
a real convincing win today. But to me, they're the favorite, Ken. Okay. I still have them as the favorite to win it all. I mean, if you're asking me to select one right now, but as you said, there's certainly 4 or 5 others that can be in the calling there. And but for those purposes, Reid and Mahomes, that combination would be where I would start.
Yeah, and the other way you could look at this, if you're into the futures, and I'm learning all this stuff, Reg, is you can find these odds somewhere, but you can pick who's going to play who in the Super Bowl. So for me, I'd go Kansas City versus Philly on one wager, Kansas City versus San Fran on the other, and not care who wins it, just hoping that those teams get there, because I think those are the 3 best teams that have a chance of getting to the Super Bowl. Now, Miami would get you more money because the odds would be more in your favor. But there are no guaranteed bets, as I found out today when the Jaguars lost to Houston and the Ravens lost to the Colts. I'm finding out the hard way and the only way, I guess. But I would lean strongly that way, that if I'm picking the 2 teams to play right now where you get better odds for your money and everything, Kansas City representing the AFC, and then go one with Philly, one with San Fran, because I really don't see that. I can't see Dallas getting it done. They're just too inconsistent. I'm not a believer in Dak Prescott. And they're, Detroit, they're going to be improved, but I can't see them getting all the way to the Super Bowl. So for me, San Fran, Philly for sure. So we'll see. That's what makes this fun, and injuries factor in throughout the year. But, if you're looking to cash in or hope to cash in and you want some good odds, then do it now on these futures with the NFL.
Well, that's right. And but wouldn't it be nice if in, let's say, at the halfway point, whether you want to say that's either game 8 or game 9, wouldn't it be nice if we've got the Browns in this conversation as well? They're the ones that are going to, have to guide this ship to see if they're capable of and are thought of that way by the NFL world, and to put themselves in position. But no, right now, I mean, if you're asking me to pick a Super Bowl, I probably would say either San Fran, Philadelphia in the NFC, and certainly Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. So, that's to have fun with, right? And we've got a lot of football to talk about as we go through that, as every team plays their 4th game this weekend and through this week in the NFL.
Yes, they do, Reg. Yeah. So, hey, just so you know, I went Browns versus Eagles with one of their free $10 bets, at plus 5,000. So $10 to win me $500 just to get there. So I love when they're giving me money because they're always taking my money. So I love when they're generous to give me $10 to play with every once in a while. So I throw it down on things like that. Hey, before we get out of here, Reg, Ohio State, Notre Dame, 6 in the country versus 9 in the country at South Bend Saturday night, 3-0 at the half. Boring first half, but a heck of a second half. And I'm shocked that the Buckeyes were able to pull that one out 17-14 over the Crying Irish of Notre Dame. Just your thoughts from, I know you were calling games yesterday and that, but from what you saw of that and the fact that the Buckeyes were able to go in there to South Bend and get a win.
Yeah, I had Toledo, who looks to be, again, with Ohio, one of the very best, probably the best two in the Mid-American Conference. Very strong win for the former Mount Union Purple Raider, Jason Candle, and his Rockets as they took down Western Michigan. But I saw it, Ken, last night, and a very compelling football game. It kind of gave me some reminders of, I don't know, back in the 80s, I guess. Right. Where, defense dominated in this day and age where, offenses routinely put 450 to 600 yards up total. It had the feel of a game that was played, when Woody Hayes was the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. But a very good win. The fact that they went on that final drive and got the job done, I think, is going to serve Ohio State well. It's certainly Lou Holtz said something that got Ryan Day all worked up. So
Michael, let me tell you,
laugh a little bit. That's fun. I like that, right? That's fun stuff.
Notre Dame's going to kick their ass, Michael Reghi. They got a better defense. He's not going to get 30. I heard Grant. I call him Granny because he reminds me of Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies, okay, with those glasses and everything.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I heard that, and Ryan Day just went off on, he went WWE on, oh, yeah, brother, I'm going to tell. That's the most fired up I've ever seen Ryan Day before a game, after a game, during a game, whatever it was, man. He went after Granny Holtz.
Yeah, he did, and brought him up by name. And before he left the field, and the television brought in their post game with their sideline reporter talking to him before he left the football field, and he just went right after the 86-year-old now Lou Holtz. So that's going to be intriguing to see how that plays out, but. I think with, the quarterback situation with Ohio State and the way Ryan Day went after it and picking his quarterback, Kyle McCord, over Devin Brown, that can do nothing but bring positivity to that football team and the way they go about their business. That's a quality win. Notre Dame's a damn good football team, certainly a top 10 football team. In the country. And so, I think that's something that Ohio State should be able to build on. And just from a confidence perspective, again, with for the first time in many years, not what you would consider as of yet when's the last time Ohio State didn't have a big name future NFL quarterback running their offense? This is the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
Right now. Now, maybe does McCord play his way into that? Of course he can. But that's not how he's thought of going into this season or right now. So for that and underneath the Golden Dome, that's a quality win when you haven't done a whole lot offensively all night long, and then you're able to. What do they take that football with? I think about 1:40 left in the football game.
126. 126 left on the clock, and they used 125 of it to punch it in on that Chip Trayanum run. And how about Notre Dame only having 10 guys on the field and the Buckeyes exploiting that on that left side, and running it in as opposed to throwing a pass there, Michael. Marcus Freeman can say what he wants. That is a bad look, man. If you're the head coach, and somebody told me it wasn't just the last play, it was the last two plays. Yeah.
That's correct.
How does that happen?
Kenny, I went back and looked at the all 22 because I said, no, this cannot be right. And Ken, I mean, really, if you think about it, for the altitude that Notre Dame and Ohio State and Michigan and USC and all the big boys play in, Kenny. Hell, that's a fireable offense, man.
Yes, it is, especially at Notre Dame.
If you don't want to take it as a head coach, then you got to get your coordinator and your position coaches on that side of the ball. What the hell's going on here? We can't. That's a fireable offense.
Yes, it is.
2 snaps. They played with 10. As Ohio State's going in to win it. I mean, wild, just wild.
Yeah, was a crazy finish. Buckeyes get the win. We'll see if that catapults them. Hey, since you do a lot of the MAC games, after that game was over, Reg, I turned on the overtimes of Indiana and Akron, and I want to just get your thoughts. The quarterback's name from Akron, last name Irons, is that right?
Yes, DJ Irons, yes.
Okay. From what I saw, very elusive at times, could make plays with his legs. I was blown away that with their 2-point plays that they tried there, that they didn't give him, more opportunity to use his legs, and they end up losing on the in the fourth overtime on the 2-point plays. Were you surprised by that they didn't allow him to be the guy to win or lose it instead of just dropping him straight back to throw?
I am, yeah, and I mean, I say that I'm a huge Joe Moorhead supporter, the first-year head coach here, brought in to try to get the Akron football program back to a point where it's one of the better ones in the MAC. But yeah, I mean that's something that I'm sure Coach Moorhead and his offensive staff are going to take a look at now and say maybe we had a better way to, because that was a winnable football game.
Yeah.
And we know how that is, Ken. I mean, a MAC team does that to a Big Ten team almost every season. Now, I grant you, Indiana, we're not talking about Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State here in Indiana, granted. But on the road, going in there, they had a chance to pick up a huge win, and I'm sure Joe Moorhead and the Akron coaches are kind of kicking themselves a little bit that they weren't able to, X and O that thing and pull it off there late in overtime. I don't know, fourth overtime, was it?
Yeah, 4 OTs. Yep.
4 OTs. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great finish, though. Watch that one afterwards. Saw USC do their thing, and Fresno State punching my winning ticket on my 10-team parlay. So was up late watching some games last night. As I just love this time of the year, man. High school football Friday, Saturday college, and then the pros.
Yes, sir. The very best. Nothing better than it. And I know there's, and I admit I'm an old guy now, but, summertime, it's cool. Vastly overrated, though, to me.
Yeah.
Get me to late August through February, Ken, when the footballs are flying. I make no illusions about that. My favorite time of the year, and will always be from here on in.
All right, Reds, that'll wrap up this edition of the R&R podcast. We'll be back to do it again next week after the Browns and the Ravens square off in the battle for first place in the AFC North. All right, buddy?
Yeah, buddy, we'll have a lot to talk about in that, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of animosity going on the football field. Always is when the Browns get together with the Ravens. So have a good week. Appreciate all of you that hang out with Kenny and I, and look forward to talking to you again, Ken.
Sounds great, Reg, and thanks again to Ty Courts, our producer, and thanks to all of our listeners out there. We appreciate your loyalty over the years.